Three, two, one.
Okay, so we're live. Welcome back to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm Matt Bork. You're watching and listening to Liberty's #1 podcast, Yup the Liberties, Yup the Flats. We bring you another amazing episode from Yup the Flats series. This time we have the lovely May Osborne. May, what's the crack?
Grand, not a bother. Not a bother.
Guys, we've asked May to come on the show, not for the first time, but the second time. The first time we had May on, we interviewed up in the flats, up in Trees' Gardens. It was a phenomenal, brilliant interview. Love having the chats with May. But we made a bit of a town halls with the sound, so we didn't think it'd be fair to put an interview like that out with May, and it was a muffled sound. So we said we'd do it again, and I'm absolutely delighted. Why have I asked May to come on the show? One, because she's a saint, because she's Andy's ma. Imagine having to live with that fella. We only spend an hour together sometimes, and fucking hell, me bases will be gone.
I'm not saying nothing.
You seen it? You seen the shit I had to put up with May there, didn't you?
I
Give it
know
out
in my
me.
mouth.
It's not straight. It's not right. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like living with the three bears out of Goldilocks. But anyway, look, I've asked May to come on because May is a friend of mine. She's also my mentor when it comes to spiritual work. She's a holistic therapist, Reiki, mediumship, tarot cards, massage. Did I miss anything?
Visualization. One-to-ones.
One-to-one visualization, nutrition. She does it all. May has a huge background in holistic therapy. So I want to talk about that, but the main thing that we have her on the show for also is because she's from the flats. She grew up in Trees' Gardens. And so that in itself is an experience. I used to go delivering coal and logs there years ago, and it was one of the most experiential experience. Is that such a thing? Experiential. One of the most difficult experiences I've ever had as a kid going in there. But it was a learning curve. The flats are brilliant. Trees' Gardens, Oliver Bonds, Knee Place flats. They're all deadly. So May, welcome back onto the show.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
It's nice to be into the old studio. This is me and Andy's little...
Now I know where he goes when I'm looking for him.
Well, he might be going somewhere else. He doesn't always be here. Fucking hell. I wonder what that fella be up to. So come here, tell us about life growing up in Trees' Gardens. What was it like?
Well, I was born and reared in 207 St. Teresa's Gardens. Family of four. The youngest, a baby. Very quiet family. Mum and Dad worked all the time. Just quite kept to ourselves. But we had great neighbours. If there's one thing I know about the flats is you'll never get a community like in flats. I'm in a house 20 years now and I love it, don't get me wrong. But you don't have that same community. You could stand on your balcony whether you're talking to anybody or not, whether you're just minding kids, get in the block, get in here, your ma's gone out or things like that. It was just neighbourly. My door was never closed. I never had to lock my own door, ever. No.
Yeah, I can't sing that from the rooftops. Like when I started working in the Liberty Market yesterday, that inner city community, it's sometimes it's hard to describe, isn't it? Just that looking out for each other.
Yeah,
Was
belonging.
What?
It's a belonging. Whether your family or not, you belonged in a community, in a group that whether your mum or dad was gone or whatever situation, always had someone would say, get in out of that, or you do that, or get down there. You know what I mean? You were like, if you were a mother, you were like, you were all your kids.
I was just about to say, that's like having 10 mans, isn't
Yes,
it?
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know, I can see you, Johnny, whatever, get down, Larry, get down,
Yeah.
fuck it, don't be doing this, blah, blah. Everyone's watching you.
Yeah.
So, tell us about childhood growing up, work, the flats, life growing up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I obviously went to school, and my mum wouldn't let me go to Brown Street School because all the nuns, she didn't like the nuns for some reason. So I was sent to School Street. Had a lovely childhood, School Street, grand. Them days you just left school at 14. I could have probably went on to college, but I was terrified because I thought they were too posh. That was my thinking. Because it was so quiet, really quiet. Not now anymore. But yeah, you do the usual, skipping, playing beds, the ropes. And we'd go down to Brown Street to Daddy-O's for the ropes. Because we'd always be, if we hadn't got, we say, toys the way the kids have today, you'd be lucky to get something for Christmas. But it was mostly we made do, we say in the summertime we'd be in the gardens, which was so big, and we'd be minding the grass when the caretakers would cut the grass, and we'd have mounds, and that was our playtime. And we'd mind it in case anybody else would drop the grass, and that's it. We had nothing, but we had great fun. We'd go fishing in the summer with the jam jars, and we'd be collecting the fish, and to be all dumped in the bat. And the poor things would probably be dead the next morning. we'd go, talk about freedom, jeez, it's on freedom. You'd go, a few of us, and we'd go down to Mount Brown and we'd drop the arches. Now, I hope nobody's still alive for that day, but that was our playtime.
It's only, here's one for you. Look, don't want to jump in here. I was going by a gap out by my job the other day. The back of the house, it was a grey wall, and you could see apples on a tree. And just like what you just talked about, it's like, if we seen that as kids, we'd be over that
That's
fucking
it.
wall.
Because you hadn't got
orchards were
money
great.
to be, if you're lucky to get a sixpence for a payday, but the rest of the time you kind of made your own fun, you made your own enjoyment, you used your initiative, you used your creativity, which it was brilliant. Nowadays, I don't think people even know how do I use my creativity?
Oh, 100%.
Because there's too much telly and...
Too much Google.
Yes.
Google, Google this or Google that. Yesterday I was doing the stall and I was struggling to add up. I was like trying to add like a few, like people bought this and bought that, and I was like, oh jeez, I need a calculator. It's like my brain is just switched off. I love the fact that you said there about going out collecting pink Ians in jars.
Yeah.
Forgot all about that.
Bees. We had a big field before the coon was there. Great big playing field. And used to have an old broken down land. And I do remember my ma telling me one time that the men, they would have only had two-wheeler push bikes. They wouldn't have cars around. And seemingly they used to play cars at London lunch. And there used to be a big fella, what was the name? Oh, the big sergeant. I never think of his name. Flanagan. And he'd come and they'd be gone. But he used to give the kids a penny each to bring the bikes down to Kevin Street. So they'd have to go down and collect their bikes. So that's how, strict it was. The men weren't even allowed to do that. But it was their playing field for most of the summer.
Yeah.
Collecting bees and just exploring.
Yeah, kids don't do these things anymore. I remember like even when my young ones, Shauna and Mia were younger, and even my nephew, like I used to bring them out catching pigeons. You don't see, the people see that as cruel now, whatever. The brother used to catch pigeons and keep them. They don't do like the bee catching, catching fish, catching birds. Like we used to make these boxes, square boxes with chicken wire on the top,
right, yeah.
and the sparrows go on them. You pull the stick and it drop down. You don't see kids doing things like that. There's a young around here, Anthony Freeman. He's at the building a kind of a meadow over there on Watling Street. He showed me when he was starting it. It's brilliant. But like he keeps bees and all. I'm like thinking that's amazing. Like kids should get into that kind of stuff. We miss all that, don't we? Like that's coming back to nature.
That's it.
And you were always telling me to put me lead boots on and get earthers.
Yeah, going out into the ground and ground yourself, because we're all too much in our head, I think.
And that's where Google brings us, isn't it? Come here, here's the thing, right? We can look back on our past, i.e. the flats and life, and we can look through like rose tinted glass, and we can be nostalgic about it was brilliant community, but it was also a tough environment to grow up as well, so let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, for one, with toughness, obviously, there was an awful lot of unemployment, so that was one.
Yeah.
There was an awful lot of trauma in flats, and it's going on everywhere, it's not just flats. And I began to notice, I got married very, very young. I was kidnapped, I keep saying that. Because I was
By Andy's dad?
Yeah, I was 15 when I met him, and I married him when I was 8, and it was like, I didn't even know what it was like to go camping, but anyway, that's another
Did John go get you on the back of his four-wheeler, did he?
No, excuse me, he had a Honda. But anyway...
was it his?
Well, I think at the time, see, I was so naive, I don't even know how I met the man, but like...
For anyone that didn't hear that, Andy just said was it his, implying that he may have borrowed it. Possession is 9/10 of the law, by the way.
Oh yeah, like, so I got married, and as I said, I grew up, because I was it was like, done, dusted, everybody got married young for some reason.
Yeah.
Had my kids, eventually got back to my mum's flats, I was living in the flats. It was hard because I was rearing my two, and I started to notice, not just myself, other women in the block and the whole flats. There was an awful lot of kids hanging around the stairs, and I lived on the top, so you'd have 8 flights of stairs to walk up and down. And we noticed that there was an awful lot hanging around, and I remember one lad, now I think the lad is still alive, so I'm not going to mention his name, but looking for vinegar or lemon. What the heck would he be looking for? Vinegar. Not realising this was the start of the drugs coming in. And it's got to the stage that we were terrified letting our kids up and down the stairs, because we didn't know whether they were going to pick up a needle. If it was blood in it, we were terrified. So I think that's how it started, not just me, it was people before me, that the women kind of started trying to kind of get together to sit and say, no, you're not going up there, you don't belong there, all this. And I think that's how kind of the drugs thing started, kind of the vigilantes and, getting to kind of, don't get me wrong, I work in communities and I work on projects that would be drug projects. So I do get the other side of it. But it's very hard if you're a mother with kids trying your best to steer your kids right and being terrified to let them go up and down even their stairs to play because of that. So that's, I think, how it all started. So that wasn't an easy time because there was an awful lot of trauma with families and kids that would have been started on drugs, and for God knows what reason. Nobody knows why people go on drugs, but it was hard, very, very hard. An awful lot of breakups of families, and then I'm not into the politics and stuff, and I wouldn't even try because I'm not into politics, that's just me. But it was hard, it was very, very hard, and it got to the stage that for anybody that would even think of getting a taxi who had a bit of money, the taxis wouldn't even go up to the flats. Where I would be dancing when I was young, we'd walk home from town, and when I reached the flat, I'd know I was safe. So it was a whole different ball game. Like, it just started to get so serious, and it was hard. It's hard on everybody, man, woman, and child, because kids were seeing their brothers or sisters going off the rail. The mothers and fathers was tearing their hair out. Then some was going on the drink because they weren't able to handle it. The men was going on the drink. The woman was left to do you know what I mean? It was like a revolving the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was no way easy at all.
It was a huge, like, when we go back to the drugs, it was huge heroin epidemic in the 80s, you know, and then, as you say, the vigilantes, but it wasn't just that. It was like armed robberies, huge drinking culture, it was, you know, pain, hoard, violence, like, I know your lads, and I know from speaking Andy and Gary never turned to drugs, which is phenomenal.
To Bud, I was lucky. I was lucky.
But it was everywhere, but I mean, there was pain everywhere as well. To avoid that, you know, like, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? Like,
so hard. To me, everybody tries to rear their kids the best of their ability, or the best of way they were reared, and sometimes people forget that. There's generations going back, and you go and you do what your mother and father, and it kind of it's a spiral.
It's a cyclical thing.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I love you touch on that. And here's the thing: I know when I look back, you know, on generational pain, my man's pain, programming, that we just pass it on unconsciously, and it's only when we become conscious of it that we can make those changes. You know, and they didn't know any better.
You put one foot in front of the other. That's all most people was doing at the time.
Like, you know,
there was no kind of education about drugs. There was no education of what you do, what you don't do. This is what you do, and then the person, and the people had to be ready. It's like any addiction. If you're not ready, you can talk to the man in the mill. Won't make a blind bit difference.
Yeah.
Until you're ready, and just as I said, it was mostly kids at the time, and that was the heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, because they are they get it in the neck, you know what I mean? And as you said, and let's look back, you didn't get a book to parent back then. No. They didn't. As I said to me mum when we chatted about my child and my issues with my man, or issues with her man, no one gave a book out. Like my kids. Yeah. Now, as I said before, I've saved money for my kids going to college, but I said to them, you're going to probably use it for therapy. You know, like, that's probably what you're going to need, because I'm conscious about things that I do. But there's also stuff that I'm not conscious of, and I'm sure they're going, I wish my dad didn't do that, I wish my man didn't do that. But all I'll ever say is, and we say to our kids this, or you say, and everyone says, I didn't intentionally go out to hurt anyone. No. Same with the parents, they're just trying to do their best, aren't they?
As I said, you put one foot in front, you don't know, like, I hadn't got a clue. Like, I was only trying to base rearing my kids on how I was reared. Now, some people look back and say, you were reared too quiet. Yeah, maybe so I was, but that was the journey I was on. I didn't know.
That's the journey I was on.
My mum and dad didn't know. They were just trying to do their best, so they thought, well, we'll keep our family kind of close and kind of not really. In one way, like, if it was ever, and my great parents, thank God, in one way I'd always kind of say, they kind of kept me a bit too close because I didn't know what the outside world was like. So I was going out into, oh my God, what's going on? But I had to, like that, knuckle down and say, right, how did my mum and dad do? And that's just the way I tried to rear mine.
Like, I mean, we talk about trees as guards or any kind of flat complex. It's very hard for people to break out of that system, you know, like, as much as they're very community driven and they look out for each other, there's that crab mentality as well. Like, if anyone's trying to get out of the projects, anyone trying to get out, get pulled back, and it's a harsh environment for kids, families, or anyone to break out, isn't it?
Very hard. Like that, as I said, I left school at 14. I was terrified to work in an office because I thought they were too posh. That was me. But trying to rear mine, trying to get mine to go to secondary, even college. Gary, like, loved football. Andrew was great, Andrew would more step on me mum and dad's side because that was the way things were. But like that, cleaning jobs, that's all I thought I could do. I didn't think, and I could go and get better jobs, or it was just a means of survival. To rear my kids, I had to go out and scrub floors, and I'd never be ashamed of it in any shape or form. And I think I did that up till I was 40. And then I said, here, there has to be something else in my life. And that's how my whole life changed. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing how you think, this is all my life, but it's not. I look back and think the learning I've got, the experience I've got, I wouldn't have got it if I hadn't done scrubbing flowers first.
Okay. There's 2 points I want to pull on. I want to come back to the pivot point. But what is it about inner city people? What is it, and I don't mean to be sexist, but a lot of married women doing cleaning jobs. Why is it that's what they do?
Because that's what women always did.
Yeah.
From generations.
Yeah.
That's all people. It wasn't that the men, it was just like that. Generations, you did what your mother and father did. That was a woman would keep the family home together, look after them. The father was supposed to go out and work. Some men couldn't work for whatever reason. But the women, what the only thing they knew, because he didn't kind of go on in school. They didn't have secondary, they didn't have college. He was leaving school, you clean, that's all you're good for. You can clean a woman's house, you can clean this woman's house down the road, that she would give you a few bob, she's a big house. But that was a means of getting your kids dinner on the table. You didn't care, you did it.
There was no lateral thinking
No.
or creativity, I could do this. Because when I was leaving school, I had 2 options. It was college or an apprenticeship. Or just don't go to school, you just go to work. There was no talk about you could do this, you could explore this. My dad was like, you're going to get an apprenticeship, you're going to college. I was obviously tick and didn't think I was able for college, so not that I wanted to at the time, but that was the options back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was no kind of options, no kind of creativity, no kind of, get on the step of the ladder. And that's not to try and make yourself bigger. It's just, it wasn't done, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't an option. It wasn't, life was life, and you got on with it. And you either got on with it or you didn't.
Well, there would be a bit of that from people that we knew, like if you did try to go on in college or go on and better yourself, there's a bit of look at you now and going above your station and who do you think you are. I remember meeting somebody when I was out one night, it wasn't long after I left school, I'd say it was about 5 or 6 years, and they were like, what's the story with your accent? You talk different now. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, and they would just straight away put me down right like that. And I remember, maybe I was being, pretentious or whatever, but I was probably trying to get away from my past because I didn't think that would serve me well.
Well, that's funny, because a person said to me one time, you don't sound as if you come from flats. I said, where do I sound as if I come from? The country. I said, I was born and reared in the bedroom in the flats. I didn't get elocution lessons. I am me. I don't say mum, I say ma. That's me. So how the hell would you think I was born somewhere else? Beyond me.
Funny you say that. My ma sent me to elocution lessons in Francis Street School. My ma taught me, when we had a phone, she says, you speak like this. So it was kind of ingrained in me to not sound or be like I'm from the inner city. And again, this is not blaming ma, but she was probably protecting me. If you want to get out of here, if you want to do better for your life, don't put this postcode on, don't speak like this, don't do this. Where I then took that as I got older as, this is not good enough, you're not good enough, as you are, don't speak like that because that's not good enough, you won't be accepted. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I know me brother and Andrew as well growing up. They had, my mum moved to Tala, and at the time Tala was only kind of starting and it was lovely. But we had to give their address, because if you get Tracy's Gardens, they wouldn't even look at you.
It's mad. And it's funny you say that. Well, it's not funny, it's very relevant, because we had Paul Keogh on the podcast here. And he spoke about that even in today's, not so long ago, he went back to college and he done education, all that, but still his class and his area, his code, his air code or his postcode stopped him from getting work.
Yeah.
Still to this day. Do you know what I mean? It still prevents people. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy. In some ways, when you look back, and I always say to people, look back but don't stare. Yeah, I had a great childhood in so many ways, and I loved, as I said, the feeling of belonging. Although I've grown a lot and reared my family and kind of nearly, I am retired now, but I'll still probably work till the day I die. That's just me. I just feel there's no connection anymore with people. People have kind of broken away, and it's just, they're kind of, and it's a good thing that they're for themselves and mind themselves, but I just think there's no that connection that the bond that you'd have with families and aunts and uncles, that kind of had broken away, I feel.
Yeah, no, I do. I get you. And I was only talking to my dad about this yesterday, and I was saying to him about the market and all. I said it's the connection. I love being back here and talking to people, and it's the connection. I says like that when you go on a weekend with a group of lads. It's not the drinks in the pub or the time. It's the human connection.
Yeah.
It's being around people and being with people and being part of a cycle or being part of a community, and that's been taken away specifically in this COVID situation. We've got further from each other. The masks, the social distance, and all that, and people just doing their own thing. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's sad, I think, with the kids and the grandkids growing up today. They don't have what we had, and I get it another way in saying, like, you move on from the past. I get that, but I still think it'd be nice for the kids to have a bit of both. Yeah, have the technology because it's grown, they're evolving, but still remember their roots, still remember what it was like even to experience it. Like, how many kids would go swimming in the canal? How many kids today would gather pink ends? How many would get a jam jar and try and collect bees?
Collect their frog
They wouldn't.
spawn and
Do you
collect
know what I mean?
frogs
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's unreal. So come here, in case I forget this, me little Dory from Nemo Brain and lose the. Let's go back to the pivot point where you says roughly around 40, where you thought to yourself, you know what, I can do more or be more.
It wasn't that. It was like I was brown. Not that I was brown after thinking. Is this on me life in my mind? I was thinking it,
Okay.
and how it happened actually. There was a 2-day unemployment conference in Guinness's being held from the Connolly Centre. I didn't know that, but someone said, I think I'm sure I worked around Dame Street and that in restaurants cleaning, and so I thought, right, I'll walk up one of the days, and I went in. Can I mention a fella's name? If that's okay.
100%.
This chap Joe Cullen, he did all the unemployment. So, Jesus, what are you here, mate? I said, Jesus, I think I'm changing my job. Didn't know what to do. Go down and see Jeanette and his wife. She was in the Connolly Centre. I swear to God, I was at Marble Lane, the edge of Marble Lane. I said, can either turn into Marble Lane or go over here. In fact, I go Minster. I'm walking down Mee Street, and I'll never figure out Jeanette Cashin is walking up. And she'd have a job for you. And I said, what do you mean you have a job? I'm only have to be in with Joe. I said, did you ring? No, she said. I said, well, what's the job? Sure, I haven't even gotten in. I've an interview for you tomorrow, and I've a CV done. It's in a daycare centre in Rialto. I'm thinking, I haven't got a clue. But anyway, true to me word, I went up. But do you ever get, I just knew I'd feel I'd get this job. And a tree in front of me interviewed me now. But I was there, and it was a CE thing, 3 years. I loved it because it was all the old people. You'd be out in the ambulance collecting the people. How we did it today, I'll just give you one scenario. In Dolphin House, top block, right, lovely man, won't mention his name. He's dead now. This man would have been about 20 stone, I think, and he was in a wheelchair. And it took 4 of us to lift him from the top balcony all the way 8 flights of stairs down, bring him over to the daycare centre, and then have to carry him all the way. Now, it wouldn't be done today. How we did, I don't know, and I was a lot skinnier then. Do you know what I mean?
That takes some manual handling, wouldn't it?
Oh, one on each wheel. Lifting them up all the way up to the top of the
20
balcony.
stone.
Yeah. And I was like, there was 2 girls, I think one fella drove the ambulance, 3 of us. But I loved it. And that 3 years went up, and obviously with CE can't go on. And then think of what's to be, I finished to be say on a Friday, and I went to the labour on the Monday, and your man says, are you looking for a job? I said, well, you have to. I said, I'm looking for a job. And like that, I went to the Connolly. Have you any jobs? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's an administration. Do you know how to turn on a computer? No. Do you know how to type? Haven't got a clue. Right, go and get the interview, which was with me old boss Elaine. Went, got the job. Couldn't believe it. I haven't got a clue how on it. I got 2 days training to use a computer, and I came out worse thinking I have no idea. And I ended up being administrator there for a good few years. Then we moved to, and I won't go too long into it, then we ended up moving to Oliver Bond. Then we moved to the Maltons, and then we got the place in Cap, and then that was closed, and then I ended up going to Castle. And I finished there when I retired. So it was the way, once I kind of said, there's something I need to do different, it just unfolded.
Okay, that's fantastic. Was there residual low level anxiety or feeling of inadequacy, like, oh, I don't know if I'm able for this?
Well, I didn't think I was worth it. I didn't think I was worth to be even in an office that I was terrified in the first place when I was 14, and here I'm in an office and hadn't got a clue. Yeah, scared stiff I was.
Yeah, because
But I did it.
Yeah, you did it, and it was like, and that comes from, you know, that not feeling good enough, that feeling of inadequacy. But as you said yourself there, you just did it.
Yeah.
You just kept going. Was there a feeling in you though from a young age, or from, can you, like, looking back, that you always felt like you could do more, even when you were doing the cleaning job? And there's no disrespect to cleaning or whatever, but you ever feel like, you know, I can do some more shit. I can do other
I
stuff.
was always into astrology and different things, different kind of than most kids. I would have been a bit of a loner in one way, but still had friends. But I liked sitting at a window, and as I said, I lived on the top balcony. It could be thunder and lightning and all. I wanted to sit and watch that thunder and the lightning and the rain. I was into all earthy things and things. My mum used to think that one is a witch, right? My brother I won't even go into that, but that's what you used to call me.
The white witch.
Yeah, I was always into something different, and I was alone, and I didn't mind being on my own.
Yeah.
But I didn't think, like, looking at it clearly, like, oh, I want to be something. No, that way, it just kind of it happened.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So look, let's paint a picture. What kind of stuff did you do in the courses when you went back?
Oh, when I started, as I said, at Condy Centre, that was the first time I actually was able to do courses. I was given, there was a career guidance girl there named Ita, and she did this questionnaire thing, and ended by the top two things I was very good at was psychology and healing.
Brilliant.
For some reason.
Yeah.
But she got me to do a 2-year course, one at the one in Pearse Street College. It was from I actually got a diploma in psychology, believe it or not. And that was the start, because every year it was like a job initiative. It was up from CA, and you got money each year for training. So every year I used it. It was. I remember Dermot O'Hara. I started work with him doing psychic work. I did a year's work on myself for my stuff, because I'm thinking if I was ever to do work like that, I'd have to make sure that all my stuff is looked at and dealt with.
Lovely.
Blah blah blah.
Lovely.
And then it came in. Then 2007, I was still in the Connolly or admin with Elaine, and a year's course with, there was 5 subjects in Mortimer College. Now I had to get the funding and all, but I got it, and that was hard, because I had to mean physiology, diet, nutrition, aromatherapy, massage, holistic massage, and there was something else. It was good, but I was shattered because it was 2 days a week and I still working. But I passed everything.
Brilliant.
And it was what I was into. Now, like today I wouldn't do massages. I'm thinking, you're gone too old, mate. But you'd still have that. I always had that touch with my hands. I don't know what it is. I talk to people, or I do a bit of I'm a Reiki teacher now. Did that years ago, but never kind of. I kind of bring it in that if someone's come into me in one-to-one, whether it be visualization or just to talk, I kind of work, I can put my hands on or off the person. It's just touch, or with my voice if I do visualization.
Okay.
It's just, that's me. I can't be something I'm not. I have to be myself, and that's who I'll always be, is myself.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Was there when you started this and doing one course after the other, was there a fire lit under
Yeah,
as
yeah,
you
it was like, bing, I like this now.
oh, this, you're like a child,
Yeah.
like Aladdin's cave.
But I had to also bring it back and say, May, you're working with people, you have to make sure, you have to realise that people are vulnerable. You don't know where they're coming from, you don't know what stuff that's going on for them. So you have to be very mindful of that person's persona. I could go in there all lovely and think, but you have to say, that person might need it. It's very much going by your own gut. What do I feel with this person? How do I feel? Because I kind of try to put, I don't always, but I try to say, imagine even what that person's gone through.
Yeah.
So I have to be mindful, I have to be very humble, because it's a big thing for somebody to take the guts and the courage to come in to talk to someone saying, hey, you don't need. Now, I'm not a counsellor, but people think I am for some reason. But to me, I'll talk to anybody, no matter who you are, big or small. You sit down and I'll talk to you, and that's it.
I think you made a great point there, May. You know, in order to do this work, and what makes me qualified and you qualified, just to be with people, not to counsel, not to give therapy, is you have to do your own work. You have to do your own healing.
Yeah.
And you can't bring anyone somewhere that you've not been before. If you haven't looked in the cupboards, i.e. in your mind or your past, you can't ask somebody, you can't hold someone's hand to walk with them through that. Sure you can't. It's
And as I said, don't get me wrong, I met with a lot of people that would have horrible childhoods or whatever, for whatever reason, and to me hand in my heart, I hadn't got to go through that. But I'm not an expert on this either, so I have to be very careful. I wouldn't suggest to anybody, oh, go here and go there. If you're coming to me, I'm just sitting trying to calm you down if it's nothing else, and trying to relax you a bit, and try to bring it back in rather than be up there. That's all my kind of what I do.
Yeah.
I'd never suggest or say to someone, oh yeah, do this and do that. No, you're not qualified to do that in that area. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 1,000,000%. That's a great point, May, and that's something I'm very mindful. I get asked to work with people, and I meet with them and have the chat, but I'm very aware and very responsible. If it's beyond my skill set, I'll refer them on and say, do you know what? And it's in service of them, because somebody asked me to work with them, and I says, look, I want you to get the best bang for your buck. If you're coming to me for me to help you, I don't know if I have that skill set, and if I hear your story, I'm gonna say, no, this person is best to go to. They'll bring you through, you know. You know, and
because it's a say you have to, because you could do more damage, and I wouldn't be able to live that knowing that I was have to say, no, yeah, I told the person go here or come here. Like, even for the fact of, and the way I break it down, if I was doing massage when I used to, I'd say to people, look, you would know after the first or second session whether that person's doing for the love of what they do or for money. People know it's an inbuilt thing. You would know, oh yeah, that person's only, like spas and different things. Yeah, you know that girl or whatever. They're only here because of the money, and that's their journey. I'm not trying to be down on, but a person will sense it.
100%. You know when somebody's in it for the cash, and that's when anyone comes to wants to work with me. I don't be thinking cash cow. I'm thinking, can I help this person? And if I think it's out of our skills, we'll just refer them on to someone else, and that's deadly. I love that you do that. When did the mediumship and the clairvoyancy? When did that really? Or was that always from childhood?
From a child, I would have been. I didn't realise it. It would be like I remember standing in the scullery at Jesus. It would have been 6, 7, or 8, I think. I remember saying to me, Ma, my dad's after breaking his arm, and she's looking at me. And my dad, like a worker, he's a painter and decorator, comes in with his arm in the plaster, and my ma's looking at him. Now I was only a kid. But if it was one thing I learned as a kid, I always had my hands would be boiling hot. Palms in my hand would be rope, and I never knew where it was. But as I got older, and I kind of, it hit me there and be like, I know, you can kill me and you can batter me if you want to, but I'm telling you, I know. I just had that knowing. And nobody or nothing. Now, I wasn't screaming or shouting about it, I just knew inside, this is wrong or that's wrong or whatever. So I kind of always went with that. And same as I'm doing, we say, I don't do it now because of the COVID at the moment. But if I assume we say Reiki or spiritual healing on someone, I trust my gut to put my hands where they're meant to be put. Or I'd say, right, you've a pain in your leg. Why have you pain in the left leg? And the people be looking at me and say, I can feel it. Don't know how I can feel it, but I can. And that's where I would go. I trust where my hands is telling me to go. It's mad. People say she's off a trolley. I've been told that before, but I don't care. I'm not too old to, you know what I mean? I can laugh at myself today. But I'm mindful of, okay, where do I need to put my hands?
So, as in the mediumship and your readings, how does that work? Tell us a bit about that.
As I said, I would have done, because of each year after, before I even did all the courses of the body, I did a lot of psychic courses with Dermot Hare. He's a shaman. Now, I loved that. I loved the sweat lodges up in the middle of Glencree in the November, and it's snow and you're in the swimsuit. Brilliant, great experience, right?
Brilliant.
I was always into some, oh yeah, I like this. If it kind of gave me that little twing. I started then when I was doing psychic courses and medium. And it wasn't mediumship. There was this one coming, was it 4 or 5 years ago? It was a year's course done, a mentorship course done in Tala, and it was once a month, Saturday and Sunday. Now, it was a lot of money, but you could pay each month, which was great. So me and my friends that we used to do psychic kind of courses with, will we do it, will we not? Now, this was covering tarot, it was covering ours, the aura, it was reading a picture, it was, I tell you, the very first one that we did, you were in this big room in the hotel, and for 20 people or something, but your woman handed you a tin biscuit box, but you got to say you to go up to the other end of the room and blindfold you so you couldn't hear her say. And she'd say to you, when she opened the box, it was just full of sand. I think, what the fuck is she doing here? And she motioned for you to put your palm print in the sand and then take it out and got the person come out. Now you have to read it, and I think, oh sweet Jesus, I can't read, I haven't got a clue. And I'd be going in a panic in my mind now. And I remember it was my turn, oh God. And I'm looking, and I for some reason, I don't know, I just looked at this woman and I said, it's your grandmother. I said, she's all around, did it? And I was giving her all this, and she said, you're spot on, and I don't believe that. Or another time I remember she had a row of, we say, chairs, and there was 4 or 5 men and women. So you were to stand, we say, 2 inches and meters. and you were to read that person and get something after. So it was all kind of out of your comfort zone. And I kept thinking, I haven't got a clue what they're doing, but I was fascinated as well, you know what I mean? I remember this time, I'll never forget, it was the first time, I hope the last time, I actually felt as if I was choking. And the woman that was kind of overseeing, I kept about this woman. Now, I hadn't even put, I'd say she was there with her back to me, and I'm standing there trying to get information. And she called me out to get her son was after choking himself. I think I was like, oh, that's a bit now too scary for me. I was picking up on it for some reason. So, and each month it was different things. It was like, you'd have to read in line, you'd have to read the book, you'd have to tell me what you're thinking. Then you'd have to do platform, which I loved. Oh, I love platform. Don't do it now. But you have to get up and stand in front of, say, a group of people, and you have to call in and trust what you're getting. And most of the time I was getting stuff, it was, yeah, right there, yes, no, you have to just say yes or no. You can't let anybody feed you or you feed them. And I was being very accurate, but it was like, ugh, this is real. But then an awful lot of people scared of it. I am not. I'm thinking, I'd be more worried about the living. The dead wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love me ancestors and all from down the line to come and talk to me and tell me what's. I think I'd be fascinated. That's just me. That makes me alive for some reason.
Did it scare you, or does it scare you when something comes in and it's you know, it's like I'm gonna go back to the choking thing and telling somebody that you've seen that. Is that hard?
You have to be there again. You have to be now only because I was only starting to learn. I called the woman that would be tutoring, and she brought me outside. And I said, "What's this?" I said, "Oh, I said I feel as if I've a rope around my neck." I said, "I've been honest with you." She said, "That woman's son is after God bless." In one way, it scared it. I won't say it out of me.
Yeah.
And another way, I was afraid to say to that woman, because you have to be very careful too. If you are doing mediumship work, you have to be very careful. It could be a person, a man, or woman in that audience, and you're giving out information like that. So you have to be very careful with your words. You have to be very careful the way you say it, because it can bring more trauma to the person.
100%.
But I just thought it was fascinating that I got this, or else I remember another time I kind of finished it for a while, and then about a year after I said, no, I'm not doing any more of that because it's too heavy, because you can be draining. And this woman said, no, we're doing the one in what's the name of that chapel in South Circular Road, the big chapel halfway down South Sing Street. She had a little place there, and they were doing it there, and I was just sitting with my friends, and these people were doing mediumship on the platform. And you said, you go. I said, oh no, I'm getting, no, Mum, we'll try. And for some reason I got this woman, it was this woman, and I was able to give her, it was our granny that lived in Oliverbomb Flats. I gave her the number over the kind of the hallway, exactly the way the woman was. She sold fish in the end of Thomas Street, and she actually was that hungry. She wouldn't tell people, but she was starving for any food she was getting for her kids, but she wouldn't eat it. And everything I said was spot on, thinking, oh my God, the girl was blown away. I'm thinking I could just like, kind of see it in my mind's eye, so I was gone, but it was like daydreaming to me what pictures I was getting. I see this woman and she's an old pram and da. And I was kind of taught, and that's the way I wanted it. Now, what you call me mad, I don't care. But that's what I got. But it's like kind of making a connection with spirit to ordinary life. They're around us always, I firmly believe it. You'll always know your mum and dad or your aunts and uncles or whatever. Grannies and granddads, they're always around you.
100%, and I feel, you know, I do. I truly believe that I'm surrounded by what you just spoke about, angels and Jesus, and I'm so connected to it, and I was so open to it. But I have to say, as you said there, and you remind me a lot, you don't leave yourself open. I don't. Like I was going around like fucking the doors were swinging like barn doors. Come on in, everybody, you're welcome. Ghosts, spirits, everybody.
Careful who you call in, yeah.
Absolutely. Like, you know, you have to be very mindful when you do this kind of work. When you do any kind of work, whether it be in hospitals, in spiritual or physical, any kind of trauma, because that's what we're dealing with. Sometimes a trauma. You have to keep yourself grounded, as you always remind me, and you have to say when you're open and when you're not open. You have to protect yourself as well, because you're opening the door to things you don't know. And I thought, it's all brilliant, it's all wonderful. Sure, look, I'm connected to the source. But you're leaving yourself open to things you don't know about.
And it's common sense. If you haven't got common sense, you've not.
Sometimes common sense is not very common.
You always have to use your common sense no matter what you do, because it'll keep you grounded.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing when you do this kind of work, is you have to keep grounding yourself. You have to reminding yourself, there is a spirit world, but there's also a physical world. We are part of that, the physical, the spiritual, and the psychological.
Mm.
And sometimes I forget that and think too busy up with the fairies, you know.
Yeah. It's nice up there, but it's not reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're living in reality.
It's some journey you've been on, haven't you? Like you've gone from the flats to now talking to spirits and angels and holistic, and it's all kind of very trendy right now, but it wasn't then. But people are more open to it now, aren't they?
Yeah, but where I kind of, and you were saying like angels and all, I have my own belief, and that's, everybody has their own belief. If I'm working with someone in a group where we say one-to-ones, I would always be matter of fact at being in the now, so I have to say I'm with a group of people now. I could be up there nice and early, fairly, but that's not going to help this group. You have to manage a group, you have to make sure they're all right, you have to make sure that obviously the guidelines that you tell them and show them. If you're working, we say in a one-to-one, you have to make sure that you close the person back down, that they're not going out of the room early, fairly, because that wouldn't be very good for them. So there's always kind of consequences, so you really have to make sure, yeah, you're doing your work and you're doing it properly. And you're trying to give information if that's the case, or healing or whatever, or even comfort, or even just trying to even just relax the person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's I think you've echoed that right the way through the interview. We have a responsibility for people when you work with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not about just doing therapy on. You have to just mind them and be mindful that, you know, when we're gone, that they still have to carry this, whether we open anything up or say something, you know, like whether we talk about their trauma or we talk about the spirit world, we have to be mindful for the other 23 hours of the day that they're going to be off on their own, and they need to be minded as well, don't they?
Yeah, it's a big thing, because sometimes you can run away with it and run with it and think, oh yeah, this is great, but you have to say, hold on, not only about me, I'm dealing with this person. I have no idea. This person's company, I have no idea what background they have, what trauma they have, whether they had trauma in their lives. If it isn't the thing that even they take the step to come in, that's some big step a person takes. So you have to be humble, and you have to be kind of saying, that could be my child, and I wouldn't like my child to be treated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I say this to people when they text me or get in contact, like if they want to do work or they want me to help them. First thing I always say to them, and it probably sounds cheesy, is fair play to you.
Yeah.
Fair play to you for taking that step. It's not easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to stay conscious and go off and hit the drink or hit the drugs, or, you know, find some other toxic behaviour to keep you unconscious.
Yeah.
But actually to turn into the dark, to turn into your pain, takes some balls.
And to trust somebody enough to open that door to walk in.
Yeah, and to believe in you, like to go,
And
you know what, they
for
may be able
them to
help
say,
me.
but hopefully, and I've never, I mean, one thing I'm really kind, no matter who I'm with, that conversation is with that person. It doesn't go outside the room. It doesn't go tell my brother, my sister, my friend. You know what I mean? You have to be so, because it's their life, their story.
Yeah, 100%.
So you're like a keeper of stories as well, because you have to say, now that's not my people. An awful lot of people say to me, do you not be drained of your energy doing groups and all that? Because it's very heavy now. I said, maybe so, but it's not my energy. I'm grounded, I'm protected, I'm looking after myself for to be able to deliver a group and to kind of tip on their little bits, but maybe give them little tools that they can bring home, maybe think a slight bit different. You can't change a person unless they want to change that, but it has to come from them.
That's a fantastic point. You can't change unless somebody wants to change. You can't do therapy onto people, you know. You can bring a horse of water, but you can't make him drink it, you know.
True.
And as you remind me last time, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know, I can't echo that enough. You know, even in the hospital I work in, I can't do therapy onto a brain injury patient unless they are aware and insightful that they need help and want to help. You know, it's just never going to happen. Sure, it's not.
No.
The one thing you said earlier is you're retired. You're not retired.
No,
You might be
I don't
retired
be
from
the day I die.
yeah, you're maybe from the Dolly Parton 9 to 5, but you're
Maybe
still.
I know. And it's funny. It's like that. It's a thing I know for some reason. I don't know why I know. It's nobody's told me. Nobody's given me any. I just know I will not be sitting at home like an old granny. Now I am a granny and I'm proud of it. And I get older, and so be it. But I won't be sitting home thinking, oh, woe is me. Thinking, no, I'll be out. I'll be either let me go to the forest, let me go to the sea on my own. Even to sit there in the winter wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have your bus pass and you're
And
going.
I'm so, do you know, it's one of the happiest things. I don't have to pay. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a little thing, but you know what? It's a major for me that I've always had to pay here, there, and everywhere.
But your mindset is deadly because some people go, oh, I'm now at the age of a bus pass. You're going, brilliant, I have a bus pass.
Yeah,
I
I
can
can
go
go
from.
there on the blues, I can go to the country. Great.
Yeah, and where most people go, I don't want to talk about it. That's shameful. I'm a 60, whatever, and I have a bus pass. I think it's deadly. It's a
I'm
great
delighted
attitude.
with it.
So come
Delighted
here.
with it.
If people want to work with you, what's the kind of service that you offer, and you know what?
Well, as I said, I also do groups now, and that's groups, men, women, or whatever. And it's like, I give you a suggest, it'd be like kind of, you can get in there with meditation. And my meditation, the way I work, obviously the person comes into the room, the group comes into the room. We go through the guidelines first to let that get out of the way. And then I kind of put on a bit of music, and I kind of do visualization of the way I talk. So I'd be talking to people, and I could be in the mountainside. It could be in Crystal Cave. I could bring them to, we say, the Grand Canyon, be riding on the beautiful white horse. It depends on what comes into my mind. And I'll talk them through all this. Now they're lying down or sitting or whatever, and I'll bring them on a lovely journey. Right now I'll obviously do breathing exercises first, just to try and calm them down. Do the visualization, and then what I do to end it off, I'll ask them how they got on in the journey. Some people, I didn't go anywhere, and that's okay, but it's just they're giving their brain a chance to settle down. But then what I do now, because I can't hand cards, I have envelopes with 1 to 10 or 12, right? So I say to you or you, what number do you want? And so I'd read the card. And it's just a card of the day. It's nothing too heavy. It's not tarot. It's just and it's sometimes more than not, they get the card they're meant to get for some reason. Now that's beyond my control. And then, as I said, I do a bit of wind down, and I close them down, and that's it. Now that's visualization. 1-to-1 would be, if I was doing Reiki, it'd be on a plinth, like a bed. And I'd like that, tell the person, I don't have to put my hands near you, so it's private and it's safe and secure all the time. And I work from their head, their shoulders, their knees, their ankles, put my hand over them if I need to. And then I just bring them in and finish and do a grounding. Simple. I don't do anything too fancy, because that's not me.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Look, I know when I started this work I do more, sometimes I want to bring people where I think they need to go, but I've learned, just give them what they want at the time. You can't do therapy, or you can't just project your stuff onto them. And
Or else, like, I could do like someone, and it's. I know people have studied, and I'm not into the science part of it. I do a thing, and it can be done for groups as well, and it's just like a consultation. You could do an holistic consultation of the whole lifestyle and give them in feedback, or else you can do a diet nutrition one. Where the diet nutrition one, I'll be able to tell them at the end with their knots and crosses what they write. You're either lacking in this vitamin or mineral, but rather than go out and get a vitamin, get it through fruit and veg.
Brilliant.
And it's given to them, so it's there, they can have at home and look back in it or whatever. There's different things.
Brilliant. That is absolutely fantastic. May, you're a fascinating and amazing woman.
Well, I'll never stop learning.
You never stop. You're as hungry for learning and growing, even today, which is absolutely fantastic. What came across in the interview, this one and the last one, all the stuff that we talk about and we connected, is that you cared about people, and you're generally always looking out for people, and that comes through, it always does, whether it's you or anyone else, that you're not in it for the money, you're in it for to share your healing with someone and help them on the path, which is amazing.
Thank you.
You're an awesome woman, and the fact that you've got that project, the home Andy over there, like, he's an amazing guy, but you should be canonised.
Telling you. That's only one half. You haven't seen the other brother.
The other
half. What can I say?
They're a working project. No, in fairness, all jokes aside, like, they're great lads. They come from the inner city, avoid the stuff that they've avoided, and are doing well in life. It's a credit to you and credit to their dad and to the area. So look, mate, thanks very much for coming on the podcast for the second time. I actually think this was a better interview. What do you think, Andy? Do you know what I mean? It was just like saying, I interviewed another lady, Katie Board, the compassion focused therapist, and I never pressed record on the interview. And I had to go back when she had to practice compassion, and she said, yeah, like you did for me there, better interview. It was just meant to happen, just like we said there. Yeah. It was just meant to happen. So this, I just loved it. It felt like we were talking about stuff we never talked before, even though we've talked about this many, many times. It's seeing it again and again and again, but at a deeper level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like people, you say, oh, I'm sick. I'm having this same conversation about a pain, but you're not. You're seeing it from a deeper
different
place.
perspective as well.
Which?
A different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's one main thing that I always try to hold on. I can think one thing, but I don't know what you think, because we all have a different perspective of the one thing.
Yeah, there's three sides to the thing: your side, my side, and the real side, and the truth.
Yeah.
So that's the crack, mate. Thanks very much, guys. So there you have it. Mystic May. If you want to work with her, you can get in
I
contact
can
with
call
me.
many other names, but I'll say nothing.
Mystic May, the White Witch of Teresa's Gardens.
Crumbling, as one of my friends calls me.
You'll see her flying around Teresa's Gardens, Dunor Avenue on a broom some days. Or a baseball cap sideways. No, honestly, if you want to work with May, you can contact her. She has a Facebook page. Andy's working on that. You can contact us. You can find her on social media. She's on Instagram, on Facebook, or through Andy Liberty's Media Hub. So that's it. There's another whopper interview for You Up the Flats. Look, we've got, people from all backgrounds. Now we have Mystic May, the White Witch. I want to thank, first of all, I must remember that the HSSCU Credit Union have sponsored this podcast interview. They sponsored me book. It's over there. Thanks very much. They've collaborated with us. They got so many copies to give out to their customers and their staff. So thanks very much to them. They're doing amazing work in the Liberties. They're always supporting initiatives and pumping money back into the community. So look, thanks very much to the HSSCU Credit Union. Big shout out to Noel Riley from Rooney Media Graphics, Andy's Liberty Media Hub, me sidekick, me pal, doing amazing work. The girls from Shannon's Hope Line doing amazing work, grassroots mental health support for our community. I just can't thank them enough. Liberty's super on the lads there doing amazing work. Anyone else I haven't mentioned? Catherine's CAF support our local community businesses. Thanks to you guys for all the support, all the kindness, all sharing all our work. I have a stall in the Liberties Market now, selling all things mind, soul and body health, from minding your little self. We've lots of retreats, we've lots of work going on. Andy has an online shop at Liberty Media Hub. You want to buy some amazing pictures. Andy, tell us a little bit about, shout out what the work that you do. What's the pictures?
Oh, it's pictures, graphic images of the Liberties, and also we're bringing a clothing brand. Liberty's clothing brand is coming soon.
Yeah, so Andy's got a Liberty's clothing brand coming soon. He's got the photos. He's took some iconic pictures of Teresa's Gardens before they get knocked down, so they're available. Another work. He's done some amazing work with his photographs. You can find his work linked to our website at magicminds.ie, www.magicminds.ie. We also have a GoFundMe page. I'm getting on my begging bowl here. If you want to sponsor us, or if you want to send us over a few dollars. If you don't have any money, you can still find us and all our work for free. It's all there for you. So look, thanks very much. As May said, make sure you mind yourself, stay grounded, because if you're kind and grounded and minding your little self, you're a better servant to your community. So all I say is thanks very much, May.
Thanks for having me.
You up the flats, you up the Liberties, mind your little self. Take care, bye bye.